In this lesson, I'm going to attach a PDF file as an underlay. I'm going to use the hatch tool to place a hatch on top of the underlay. The hatch command in AutoCAD is used to fill an area of selected objects with a hatch pattern or fill. The hatches represent materials to be used and incorporated within a design. Hatches can also be used to designate areas or room types. I'm going to modify the boundary of the hatch and then associate the hatch to the new boundary. I start with a new drawing. I have defined a few layers to start my drawing to help me organize my objects. I have the Underlay layer current. I select the Insert tab on the ribbon. I select the Attach tool. I select PDF under Files of Type. I select 6-2A underlay.pdf as the file to attach. I click Open. I insert the PDF at the origin. I set the scale to 128. I click OK. I switch to the Home tab on the ribbon. I switch to the boundary layer using the layer drop-down list. I select the Polyline tool located on the Draw panel. I'm going to draw the boundary for my hatch. I want to indicate where bike lane striping needs to be placed for a subcontractor. I use the Polyline tool to draw the boundary. I can snap to the outline of the PDF to complete my boundary. I can use the Trim tool to clean up any overextending lines or use multi-grips to remove any unnecessary vertices. It takes a few minutes to create the polyline that I'm going to use as the boundary for my hatch. Once my boundary is placed, I can add the hatch. I switch to the hatch layer using the layer drop-down list on the Layers panel. I select the Hatch tool from the Draw panel on the ribbon. I'm going to expand the Boundaries panel on the Hatch Creation tab. I'm going to select Retain Boundaries Polyline. This option will automatically create a boundary around my hatch and associate the hatch to the boundary. I select the ANSI 31 hatch pattern. I click inside the polyline area I just drew to place the hatch. The hatch is previewed. I right-click and select Settings. A hatch dialog opens. Notice by default the hatch is placed behind the boundary. Retain Boundaries is enabled. The boundary to be created will be a polyline. I change the scale of the hatch to 25. I click OK to close the dialog. I press Enter to accept the hatch. I hover over the hatch and you see a polyline was placed on the hatch layer. This is the boundary that was created with the hatch. I select the boundary. I right-click and select Properties. I can see how much square footage is being taken up by the bike lane. I freeze the layer where I place the original polyline used to create my hatch. I select the Offset tool from the Modify panel. I set my offset distance to 2 inches. I select the hatch boundary and offset the boundary 2 inches inside my hatch. I want to reassociate the hatch to the new offset boundary. I select the hatch. I right-click and select Set Boundary. I select the inside polyline, which was offset as the new boundary. I click Enter. AutoCAD prompts me if I want to erase the selected boundary. I select No by clicking Enter. The hatch is associated to a new boundary. In this lesson, I inserted a PDF to use as an underlay. I created a boundary for a hatch using the polyline tool. I placed a hatch and used one of the hatch options to automatically create a boundary with a hatch. I used the offset tool to create a new boundary for the hatch and then reassociated the hatch to the new boundary.